Hey guys, I just got home from a pretty disappointing tournament on Wheeler Lake. Led the tournament after second and third days, and struggled a little bit on the last day. Had a couple of bites, should have been up around 20, but I didn't lose it yesterday. I don't think. I thought I was going to be able to catch 23 out of there, but I lost it really on the first, second, and third days when I was bringing in a couple of smaller fish each day. A few big, 4.5, 5 pounders, and then kind of leaving the area alone and catching a few. Not calling up enough, and that just comes from not knowing what the competition is doing. Our sport is a lot different. I'm not complaining. That's the way it's always been, but I think it's time for a change. You hear all these guys saying, I'm competing against the fish. I'm not fishing against him. I'm not fishing against Shaw Grigsby. I'm fishing against the bass. And to me, that's stupid. I beat the bass. I needed to beat Takahiro, so I needed to know what he was catching on day 2 and day 3 so I could make some adjustments. But anyway, that's not what happened. So that's when I feel like I lost the tournament. I did lose a 4.5 right around 1:45 after the live stream went off, just right after, 15 minutes later. It hit me close to the boat on the swim jig, and I set the hook and bent my hook out. With that equipment, I'm going to go over that equipment, but with that swim jig, I don't want to set the hook like I'm doing with the Flippin Jig. I just kind of want to lean into them, bend the rod, let my equipment do the work, and just swing them in the boat. And I just forgot which rod I had in my hand at the time, and cracked them and bent the hook open. So drove all night. I'm home back in Pennsylvania. It's 43 degrees, feels good. Then I'm going to go over some of the equipment that I used that you saw me on Bassmaster Live. And thanks, by the way, for watching that. I heard we had a really big success rate on there. Lots of people watching it. Lots of people probably getting in trouble from their bosses. But I'm going to go over day by day. This is day 1 of the tournament. These ones right here did the damage. This is a Terminator Buzzbait. Probably recognize this frog. It's just a big, oversized plastic frog. Not a sponsor of mine. Made by Zoom, Horny Toad. But this particular outfit caught 2 that I weighed in on the first day. This is an Omen 7.3 medium heavy. It's got a lot of forgiveness. It's just a very moderate action rod. It's real good for anything you're doing with braid. It's the same rod I was using on the swim bait, on the swim jig, by the way. But I was going back and forth from a gold and a copper blade. You might have seen me throwing this one. This is not a Terminator. It's just a clacker, something that was louder when it got muddier on the third day. I started throwing this one a little bit more. It's got a Horny Toad on it too. I was using trailer hooks, number 3/0 Yamagatsu. And on this buzzbait right here, I caught a 7-pounder in practice. That was my first Wheeler bass out of that spot in the morning when I found it. So I was hoping to get one of those type of bites. So I spent the first hour throwing those topwaters trying to get a bonus bite because I knew I could catch a limit later. Day 1, that was key. Day 2, completely went away. I caught 2 on the buzzbait, and the other 3 were on the frog on day 1. Day 2, I started with the frog, had a few bite it, couldn't get them in the boat, never even hooked any of them, and I switched to a white one and caught a 3.5 pounder. So on day 2, I weighed 1 in on the frog, and the rest is what we're going to talk about in a minute on the jig, which is what you saw me doing mostly on Bassmaster Live. This frog right here is a Terminator. It's a brand new poppin' frog. There's a regular frog and a poppin' frog. This frog right here, you could almost probably tell by looking at it, it's as good as it gets. And I'm not just saying that. It's unbelievable. When you get your hands on these, you're not going to believe how well it performs. It was just great. I wish they would have kept biting it throughout the tournament because I feel like I could get bigger bites on that. But look out for that bad boy. It's coming out at ICAST. So a lot of us guys are using it as prototypes right now. A frog rod, similar to the other one. It's also an Omen, but it's a heavy. It's a 7.3 heavy. A lot of difference. There's more backbone, more tip, so I can get a good hook set on the end of those long casts. The line on both of those outfits, the buzzbait and the frog, is 65-pound test advanced 832, which is made by Suffolk. You can see my reels. They are You know, these are very affordable, by the way, and I'm just surprised at how durable they are. This is my second season using them. I've put miles on. I feel like for most people, you know, I've put 5+ years on these bad boys already. If you're just a weekend guy, so I've really put them through the test. 170 bucks, I think, or even less now. You can get these, and I'm using them on the Pro Tour and loving them. I'm mixing them in. They're a Concept A. I'm mixing them in with my Concept E's that are considerably more, you know, more money. So those are the reels that I was using. 7:3-1s, all fast gear ratios for everything I do all the time. So you can just assume that every time. Missed one on the frog the first day and threw the Senko in there and caught him. So I almost always weigh in a fish on a Senko. This happens to be the bigger one, a 6-inch with a 4-aught Gamakatsu, 20-pound Invisalign fluorocarbon. Same reel, but I did want to say something about this rod. This is one that I've been helping in the development for a long time, and we've really been nitpicking this thing apart. I've never had a rod company, you know, listen to me, and there's certain things over the years that I feel like I need for certain techniques, jig fishing, Senko fishing, you know, the chatterbait, swim bait type of thing, and I finally got exactly what I want. This is called a Muse Black. These are prototypes. This is actually a pretty much what the finished product's going to look like. We've gone through 5 generations now. The jig rod I was using is also a Muse Black in an earlier generation, but this is the one we've settled on. It's a beauty, unbelievable. I'm so excited. It's coming out, like I said, at ICAST, and you guys are going to love it. If you're planning on getting new 13 outfits, a lot of guys are throwing their old stuff away or selling it and going to 13. You might want to just hold out another month or two and wait for these Muses to come out. I'm just saying, you might want to do that. Not that the Omens and the Envies aren't great, but you're just going to be, your jaw's going to drop when you hold that thing. And then going right to my 2 jigs. These were the damage right here. I'd say, you know, 75-80% of the fish that I weighed in were on these 2 puppies right here. This is the Flippin Jig. Day 2, day 3, most of the fish came on this. The reel, again, you know, it's the Concept A. I depend on this thing, you know. The guys at 13, Matt, Jose, Ricky, you guys are, you know, they get mad at me when I show a close-up of this reel because they want it to be sexy. You know, they're bringing sexy back. And I don't like sexy as much as I like battle scarred. So eat your heart out, Matt Baldwin. This is a really chewed up reel. Like I said, this has probably got the most use of any reel that I own. It's been in my rod box in every single tournament. It's always got a big flipping bait tied on it, usually a jig like this one. And as you can see, it looks like I've tied it onto my rod and thrown it out there and drug it across riprap and beat it up on the end of my line. So it's crazy, but love this reel. And if you're you know, looking to get quite a few reels and don't want to spend a ton of money, this is the way to go right here. And I can tell you they're durable. This is, like I said, one of the earlier models. 711, medium heavy, perfect rod. And when the new style comes out, it's going to be even better. Same action. We nailed it. So look for that one. 711 medium heavy, 20-pound Invisalign, again made by Suffix. 7:3-1 reel, and tying a Palomar knot. And if you tie it correctly and wet it down good and get all the lines parallel, don't believe what you hear about not being able to tie a Palomar with fluorocarbon. It's as long as you tie it right and you look at it and all your lines are parallel all the way through the knot. A lot of guys, pros even, make that mistake. I've seen it more than a dozen times with top-notch pros. So you just need to make sure that knot is tied perfectly. It's real easy to screw it up just a little bit and get one twist in that while you're tying it. And maybe someday I'll show you how not to do that. But anyway, that's the jig right there, a Terminator. I believe it's a 3/8 ounce. I said ½ ounce a couple times. I started with a bigger one and realized that I wanted a slower fall. I was a foot deep where I was catching the majority of those fish. And I switched to a 3/8, and you can see it's pretty well scarred up. And I wasn't fishing rocks either. That's all from fish's teeth. I was fishing around wood most of the time, wood and pads. But an oversized, big, bulky skirt. You guys that know me know I usually try to get my jigs nice and compact and tight and small. But in this tournament, I was really trying to focus on getting those big bites. I sacrificed, being able to skip it exactly where I wanted it. I was doing as good as I can, but with a big oversized trailer like this, the whole jig is just so big and bulky, it's really, really hard to skip. And even on a cast, sometimes just being a flat chunk like that would sometimes turn on you. So it made it hard, and I knew that if I put on a nice compact jig, I could put it wherever I wanted. But I was within an inch with this sucker. I was getting pretty good with it, and I felt like the trade-off was worth it because, like I said, the bigger fish were definitely biting this. Bye, May May. Have a good day. Love you. That's why I came home right there. Drove all night for 3 days. I should be at Texoma like everybody else, but heading to Texas in a couple days. And so that's the jig right there. The swim jig, which you also saw me throwing on Bassmaster Live, is right here. This is a Yamamoto, and usually I use 50-pound 832, but for this I was really putting this in some tight places. I could get this one exactly where I wanted it every time, and I was pulling fish over logs and around things and through bushes and places, that a lot of times you just can't get them out. But fortunately I got most of them out except for that one on the last day. But anyway, using 65 on this occasion just because of that. And Yamamoto makes this. He's known for the plastics, like the Senko. Nobody can duplicate what Mr. Yamamoto can do. And man, I'm so thankful. My longest term sponsor since before I was a pro, and we're talking about 16, 17 years now with Gary, and I'm just so thankful to be a part of that team and stay on it for as long as I have. I just love those guys, and I couldn't win without their stuff. But about the plastics, but a lot of people do not know about, the hard baits. He makes spinner baits and jig heads, and the jig heads that he makes are just as good as they get. This is a swim jig. I mean, you just look at it, and how can it get any better? It can't. If I want to, I can order this jig with a bigger hook. This happens to be a 4/0. I can get a 5/0 in this, or even a 6/0. So you have some options there. I've always believed in that good angle on the weed guard as much as you can get. This one's absolutely perfect. I went with a 4/0 because it's better to come through the cover, the smaller the hook, and it sticks them really good. I mean, what I like about this swim jig is I can throw it on 10-pound test in open water and catch spotted bass, and I can throw it on 65 braid and drag them out of the pads and brush. So it's a good all-around swim jig, and it's made by Yamamoto. Baits.com. You can get these bad boys, and I don't think hardly anybody uses them. When you get up into the bigger sizes, it turns into a flippin' jig. You get the 3/4 and 1 ounce in the same thing, and like I said, get different hooks in it and everything. I was trying to use the bigger, bulkier trailer on this thing too, so I was using a craw, a big oversized craw on that. So again, you can see the reel scarred up just like I like it. 7.3 to 1. This is an Omen medium heavy 7.3, exactly the same rod I use on the Buzzbait. It's a good all-around rod if you're looking for something to just throw all kinds of baits on. That is a real good one to get, but you might want to wait and just check out these muses when they come out in July. I want to thank a few people. My cameraman Rick Mason. I mean, he doesn't realize what a blessing he was to have as a partner in my boat. Just real encouraging. I'm getting kind of teary-eyed just thinking about all the people that made a difference for me this week and were behind me and rooting for Team USA. And I was so just honored to be a part of what happened this week, and I wish I would have pulled it off, but it just wasn't meant to be this time. But Rick, thanks for 3 days of greatness. Just having you in the boat was a pleasure. Ronnie Moore, who was with me all 3 days, second, third, and fourth day, taking the best coverage that I've ever got in my career. just amazing photos, and just crazy off the wall stuff. So I just enjoyed the whole experience, having those guys around. Ronnie had a crew with him. We had one of the guys even pulled out a harmonica and played a little bit for us while we were fishing. It was just so weird, but just really cool. I want to thank Garrick, one of the photographers, Sajo, however you say it, James Overstreet. Those two guys, just everybody at Bass has just been so welcoming to me. Especially want to thank Brock Mosley, who I mean, just super nice guy, man. Made a difference for me. Could have made me win the tournament, and I would have done the same thing for him. And I don't even know him very well, but just appreciate, him letting me have that spot. He didn't have to do it. Matter of fact, the first day we started in there together, we were both early draws, and we both started in there, and he caught over 16 pounds in there and was way up there in the top 10, I think. And I think I was in third, and on that second morning, he came right over to me and said, "Man, I'm going to let you have that." And I'm like, "Dude, you don't have to let me have it. You busted him in there. Come on, come in, So he actually came in, and I'm glad that he did, and didn't catch him as good that day, and left pretty early, and never came back on day 3. And I just think that is the classiest thing I've ever seen in my whole career. I just appreciate that, And Dean Rojas also came in there on day 2, got a good look at my boat, knew it was me, never came back. Appreciate that. These are things that guys do not have to do. It's not in the code of ethics. You came in there, you legitimately found those fish, came in, and decided to let me have it. So appreciate it. I'm probably forgetting somebody, but I just want to thank all the sponsors that believed in me and pushed me to try to thought that I was going to bring it home and be an Elite Series champion. That's my goal, and I know I'm going to do it at some point, but I really wanted to do it this time. I feel like I blew it. I had a perfect opportunity, but we're going to go. We got half the season left. We're coming up north after we get done with Toledo Bend next week, and I'm just real excited about the rest of the year. We're going to bring one home to Pennsylvania. But thanks to everybody, Power Pole, TH Marine, Lowrance, Fishhead, Solar Bat 13, Rapala, Bass Boat Technologies, Van, who actually designed my double thing up there. I designed it, he built it. Ranger Boats, best sponsors on the planet. So thanks. That was my recap from Wheeler Lake. Thanks to all the guys who watched me on live, and risked their families and almost got divorced, a couple of them, because they wouldn't stop watching it. They were supposed to cut the grass. That goes out to you, Andy. And to all the guys watching it on the job and not getting anything done and almost getting fired. I appreciate it. Thank you. Talk to you at the next one.